Jai Guru all. I offer my obeisance to Shree Shree Thakur, Shree Shree Barma, Shree Shree Barda, and Param Pujyapad Acharya Dev Shree Shree Dada. Today, all of us from around the globe are here to celebrate an auspicious occasion, the holy 133rd birth anniversary of Shree Shree Thakur Anukulachandra. I am especially happy to host this session in this celebration, the Youth Symposium. The symposium is divided into two parts. Part 1 will be an information session, in which participants will present their understanding of Shree Shree Thakur's examples and teachings on key topics, especially focusing on topics that are important and relevant for youth like us. In between speeches, there'll be singing and music. Part 2 will be an interactive session, in which participants will discuss their understanding of key messages of Shree Shree Thakur Anukulachandra. I am looking forward to host this event, and at the same time am very interested in learning more about Shree Shree Thakur's life and teachings based on your understanding and experience. So, without further delay, let me invite to the stage Dipali Jethi, a student of medicine pursuing her undergraduate degree. She is based in Ukraine. Dipali will be presenting an English song written by none other than Param Pujyapad Acharya Dev Shree Shree Dada. So, here is Dipali.
I sing the glory of my Lord. I sing the glory of my Lord. To all He gives happiness and peace. To all He gives happiness and peace. The life of everything. I sing the glory of my Lord. I sing the glory of my Lord. He's my sword, He's my sword, He's my sword, He's my sword, He's my living alone. Loving Him and serving Him, I follow Him forever. Worship Him, I sing the glory of my Lord. I sing the glory of my Lord. All that bless He grants to us, all that bless He grants to us, as we strive of His name, never, forever, He never falters. Never, forever, He never falters. I sing the glory of my Lord. I sing the glory of my Lord. He is my life, I live in Him. He is my life, I live in Him. The truest friend of everything. He's our Father, He's the Mother. All I desire, I find in Him. I sing the glory of my Lord. I sing the glory of my Lord. To all He gives happiness and peace. To all He gives happiness and peace. The life of everything. I sing the glory of my Lord. The glory of my Lord. The glory of my Lord.
Jai Guru Dipali, it is always wonderful to listen to your sweet voice. You have really set the atmosphere for this event. Shree Shree Thakur is known as Fulfiller the Best. People from various backgrounds, charmed by his magnetic personality, came to him to seek solutions to a vast array of issues faced by the people. His teachings are so vast that they cover all areas relevant to being and becoming. Although he was such a helpful and divine personality, Shree Shree Thakur lived his life simply, like a normal person, and was the best friend one could imagine. Next, let me invite Revati Limaye, holding a master's degree in nanophysics from Germany, who will present on the topic, the ultimate friend, philosopher, and guide.
I bow down at the lotus feet of my Guru, Param Premamay Shree Shree Thakur Anukulachandra ji. My pranam to Jagat Janani Shree Shree Badima. My pranam to Shree Shree Pitrudev. My pranam to Acharya Dev Shree Shree Dada. And my humble pranam to all the revered members of Thakur family. Jai Guru to all of you who joined here, and I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to offer seva at this youth satsang. Jai Guru. How lucky we are that we are living in a family under a shelter where our parents take care of us, nurture us, educate us, send us to schools. They take care of us. Then there are our grandparents with whom we share such a very beautiful bond, don't we? They are like our friends who look after us. So we see that we live in a very secure environment. But have we ever thought that is there anyone who is taking care of all of us, including our parents, grandparents, who is constantly looking at us? In our life, we go through many phases. Sometimes we say we are very happy today, we are very nervous. There are modes of happiness, modes of sadness. We call them as mood swings. Not only us, but sometimes also our parents wonder which direction to choose in life in this condition. How should we go ahead now? So, for us, we have our parents who can guide us. But for them, and ultimately for all of us, who is there that has answers to all these questions? Yes, you are guessing it correctly. We are extremely lucky and blissful that in a world of 7.8 billion people, we got Thakurji in our life as the supreme soul, as our Guru. So here are some thoughts from the Satyanusaran which I am going to read now. Thy will is good. I don't know what will make me good. Let thy will be fulfilled in me. We must keep it in mind that what it is there in our hands is that we give our best. We can give our 100%. Rest we should leave up to Thakurji. He knows exactly what is good for us and what is not good for us. He's constantly looking for us. He's constantly taking care of us. He's thinking about us, thinking for us. So, we should always give our best and we should leave everything, rest up to Him. If you long for good, give up the conceit of knowledge. Listen to everyone and do whatever helps to expand your heart. We say that baladapi subhashitam grahyam, which means that even sometimes from children's we can learn many things. Simply if we look out at the Mother Nature, she teaches us a lot. If we see a tree full of fruits, it gives us a shelter, wood, you just name it. So there are many things from the nature one can learn. One important thing is that nature definitely teaches us how to remain grounded to the earth. Don't conceal anything in your heart from Him you have chosen as your guide. To conceal is to disbelieve Him, and that disbelief brings downfall. We often do this, or we must have done this back in school, that if we forget to do the homework teachers had given to us, then we used to defend ourselves so that we don't get punished by the teachers. But our relation with Thakurji is certainly not like that. If we do any mistake, then we know that we can share that with him. He will keep our secrets. We don't have to hide anything from him. He will not only keep our secrets, but also he will mold us so gracefully that at the end of the day, we will become a very good human being. So as we see that we are very lucky to have Thakurji in our life as a guide, a philosopher, a friend, and most importantly, a guru. But don't we think that there are many people out there who should also find him as a guru, who should also be able to stand under his bliss? Let us try to start from ourselves. Going out and telling people will certainly help, but a good change in the behavior attracts people towards you. Let us be that good change. Thank you and Jai Guru to everyone.
Wow, Revati ma'am, you have given us such a clear understanding of Shree Shree Thakur. I am really looking forward to hearing more from you in the future. I have just remembered a story about Shree Shree Thakur. Once a man from America came to see Shree Shree Thakur and asked him to summarize his philosophy in 2 words. Thakur said, "Be concentric." The American man asked, "To whom?" To which Thakur responded, "To your ideal." The American man then asked if he could make Henry Ford his ideal. Thakur told him, "Yes, but if you make Henry Ford your ideal, you may indeed become like Henry Ford, but never like Jesus Christ." In other words, we must choose an ideal as profound as possible so that we can maximize our growth. To elaborate more on the idea of an ideal-centric life, I would like to invite Priyavrata Bansal from Kuwait. He is a second-year university student pursuing a degree in computer engineering from Netaji Subhash University of Technology in Delhi, India.
Jai Guru. On this occasion of International Virtual Satsang, I would like to talk about the importance of ideal-centric life. The word Guru can be broken down into Gu, which means darkness, and Ru, which means light. When brought together, it symbolizes someone who takes us from a path of darkness to that of light. In order to make this transition, a Guru provides us with the necessary tools and serves as an ideal example in terms of his behavior, his ideology, and his unending love for all beings. Guru simplifies the complex puzzle that life is and in return asks only for love. Love, not only in words, but as a concentration of devotion. Shree Shree Thakur has talked about life as comprising of 3 essential components: individual, that is self; environment, that is the people surrounding the self; and a living ideal, who is the Guru. Personal growth, or yajan, focuses on the development of an individual, gathering knowledge, and working tirelessly towards the betterment of oneself. Telling oneself that I am humble, I am calm, I am active and focused, nourished in love, every morning as a form of auto-suggestion, and trying to picture oneself as an ideal character subconsciously induces the feeling of love, confidence, and motivation in oneself to do good not only for oneself but also the environment. A living being is not meant to survive alone, but to grow in synchrony with this environment. Yajan involves serving others with a caring attitude. The food that we eat is grown by others. The clothes that we wear is stitched by others. The house that we live in is built by others. Shree Thakur says, the desire for the good of others is the mother of one's own good. An act of giving induces in oneself love towards the receiver. Thakur has used this principle and devised a process of developing a strong bond with the ideal through Ishtabriti as a first oblation in the morning. Following the principle of Yajan, and Nishraviti, ensuring your existence and growth while altogether living an ideal-centric life is the secret formula of success. Shishi Thakur says, see beauty even in the ugly. I'd like to share an incident from Thakur's life. There was once a boy who used to spend all of his time watching movies. His mother had tried to make him stop several times, and in the end, got fed up and went to Shishi Thakur. Thakur was sitting in the parlor when the child's mother requested Shishi Thakur to talk to the boy. Shishi Thakur called the child and started discussing movies with him. Thakur began to ask him about what kinds of movie he watched, which characters he liked, and why he liked them. Thakur began seeing the child often and asked him to narrate the stories of his recently watched movies. One day, he asked the child to write the scripts of the movies instead of narrating it. Thus, the number of movies he watched began decreasing, and the quality of movies that he watched went up, as he wanted to show Thakur only the best movies. After some time, Shishi Thakur asked the child if he could write a script of his own, as he had already written the scripts of so many other movies. The child agreed enthusiastically, prepared a script, and gave it to Shishi Thakur. After a few days, a film director had come to seek Shishi Thakur's blessings, and Thakur presented him the script. Upon inspection, the director was astonished by the quality of the script and thought it was written by an experienced professional writer. So instead of despising a quality that is looked down upon, Shishi Thakur nurtured the child's instinct and developed him and helped him develop into a good writer. Try perfectly for one, you shall get all. When trying to achieve a goal, think only of the goal and dedicate all of your efforts towards achieving it. Do not let your mind wander into the abyss. Stay focused. To forbear does not mean to retreat, but to embrace with love. So forbear and be inspired with the objects in view. Only then will your purpose be fulfilled. We should always try our best. Shishi Thakur says, doing is the mother of getting. A lot of the times, many words are used in conversations whose meanings might be complicated. Shishi Thakur has given an explanation to all of the words in a really, really simple manner. Emotion, that by which anything is set to motion. By inertia, a person usually stays in rest, relaxed mode, unless pushed by a force to work. An emotion, especially a strong one, can serve as a really powerful force and do wonders towards a cause. Human mind has enough power to achieve anything if they set their mind towards it with passion. Art is a practical application of science. Habit is to have it. Stomach is for life, but life is not stomach, which is now more often said, eat to live, not live to eat. Behavior, be to have. Virtue, that which preserves existence. Sin, doing that which makes one fall from existence. Dharma, dharma is existence and growth. Shishi Thakur says, to know dharma is to know the root cause of anything, and to know that is true wisdom. Shishi Thakur very aptly brings out the difference between religion and dharma. To uphold the life and growth of self as well as that of others is dharma. But to bind oneself unrepellingly with the love Lord and to follow him accordingly is religion. Spiritualism is something that leads towards the cause. Purpose of life is to drive away want completely. Now, everything in this world has a cause, and every cause has an associated effect. Shree Thakur says, there is no such thing as a miracle. What is miraculous is only what we fail to understand. I want to talk a bit about meditation now. Meditation is what helps us introspect and understand oneself. Through meditation, one can develop a sense of control over our emotions and thoughts. And it is when that happens that we find true peace. Many a times we find ourselves in situations where our emotions overpower us and we all in all lose control of both our thought process and our actions. This is the moment when we are the most vulnerable, and more often than not, we choose the wrong path. Every time we reach such a heightened state of emotion, we forget about the environment or the ideal and have sudden urge to satisfy oneself, and we put our needs before everyone else's. Meditation helps develop control over the decisions that we make in this state. Instead of going towards instant gratification, we learn to recognize and respect our emotions, but at the same time, work in synchrony with the environment to continue to live an ideal centric life. To live in a society, we are usually required to keep our emotions in check and to behave ideally in public and to live in that life. However, until we develop a firm grasp over our thoughts and our emotions, the difference between our inner emotions, what we feel, what we think, truly think, and our outer emotions that we show to others will eventually lead to an outburst and cause destruction everywhere. The development of a synchrony between the inner self and the outer self is what leads to peace. And this is all possible through meditation. To act as an observer of one's actions instead of the doer educates one and expands the consciousness, which ultimately leads to the growth of an individual with better perception of the world around. In today's world, knowledge is abundant. Knowledge is abundant. Anything we wish to learn is available, either through the countless number of books or the video lectures online or ebooks. If this is the case, then why is there such disparity among the people? It's due to the use of this knowledge. People who learn for their interest dive deep into the infinite knowledge that the internet provides and keep learning more and more and grow as they learn. This passion for learning manifests into a habit, and that is what makes all the difference. Shree Shree Thakur has talked a lot about the essence of education. The universities today, compared to the universities of ancient India, present a very dreary and gloomy picture. Students do not consider learning as a means of discovering themselves. They have no reverence for the learned, on which was founded our entire edifice of life's philosophy. As they have no ideal, no dedicated teacher to guide them, to instill in them a sense of self-reliance, character, they find themselves misdirected, disintegrated, unadjusted, and frustrated. A commercial relationship between the teacher and the taught is extremely detrimental to a healthy relationship and effective communication between the two. The result has been student indiscipline, violence, disturbances, chaos, and academic unrest throughout the country. Shree Shree Thakur speaks about the role of teachers. A teacher should walk in the way of learning in every aspect of his life, should study to impart educative influence upon every individual with every cultural urge, stamping his own personality everywhere so that his footsteps become glaring to his environment. Thus, he becomes the living ideal of education. Everyone wants what's best for them and to be happy. And a lack of happiness brings weakness and fear in the heart, and that is grief. Desire unfulfilled is misery. Don't expect anything. Be prepared for every situation. What can grief do to you? Be not the cause of another's grief, and none will be the cause of yours. Try to give others as you desire to have. To lack the thoughts and deeds befitting the desire is misery. Remove sense of inadequacy. If one can learn from one's own mistakes, then that is good. However, if one can learn from someone else's mistakes, that is even better. What we learn from others' experiences is knowledge in a very concentrated form. If someone is able to understand the shortcomings and learn the lessons that were presented through the shortcomings, growth becomes exponentially faster. Being morally correct is hard, considering the different sets of moral values that exist in people. Thus, many a times, people find it hard to determine where they stand in regards to their way of thinking. In such a situation, it helps to compare how much of one's values align with the characteristics of the ideal. Similarly, to determine whether a decision to make is correct or whether the actions that we are about to take is correct, we have got a litmus test with us. If the action to be taken or already undertaken accounts to my existence and growth, then it is in the right direction. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru Priyavrat Bansal. Thank you for giving us some valuable insight into an ideal-centric life. Now, in the middle of this symposium, I would like to invite myself to perform a flute piece for you, which I am hopeful that you will all enjoy. Jai Guru to all. I am delighted to be performing a flute piece on this auspicious occasion. turn to the symposium by considering, what does self-development and growth mean to you? In Shree Shree Thakur's philosophy, the idea of being and becoming is central, meaning self-development and growth is of utmost importance. That is why today we will have Sandeep Das, a 12th grade student of the IB diploma from Ghana, to share a few words with us on this topic of self-development and growth.
Jai Guru Pranam everyone. My name is Sandeepa and I'm extremely excited to be a part of the first International e-satsang. So today, as you can see on the screen, I will be giving you a reason why you should embrace the importance of growth and development through the values of Shree Shree Thakur. So this doesn't just apply to students like myself, but all devotees of Shree Shree Thakur, as well as beyond that, as we should all understand the importance and significance of self-growth and faith. So to start us off, I wanted to talk to you today about the topic of growth and development by providing you with the steps to establish the habit of self-reflection in your life. So the first step that I've noted down towards self-development and growth is the realization of one's mistake or sin. So from the perspective of a student, this may be a test that you didn't perform well in, or for parents, this may be a decision you made that didn't have the outcome that you hoped for it to have. So realization of one's mistake is so key in determining what the core issue is to any situation. Like we all know, assessing one's failures is the key to one's success. And we will all continue to make mistakes until we sit down and figure out what we're doing, what we're making mistakes on, and why it's so repetitive. So realizing your mistakes also shows that you admit to your faults and take responsibility for your failures, which is an important step in order to start this process. So blaming others and not being open-minded just goes to show that you're scared of defeat. And that's why it's so important to self-reflect and understand and pinpoint the specific mistake that you would like to fix in order to start your journey of self-growth and development. So one way we can do this is by reading scriptures and stories of Shree Shree Thakur and his experiences. Understanding the consequences of our actions through experienced gurus such as Thakur can help us pinpoint specific values and characteristics that we lack as common individuals in our society today. So after realizing your mistake, it's time to reflect on the reasons why this mistake occurred. Taking, for example, an experience that I had in the beginning of my junior year in math class. My first ever test went horribly wrong, and I could only fully complete 2 out of the 5 test questions that were given. So this reflected in my final mark, obviously. Hence, I decided to take action on the situation so that it wouldn't occur again in the future. I firstly reflected on why I got so nervous during the examination, and not approaching an examination with confidence in yourself simply proved that you aren't prepared, and the fact that I wasn't prepared for the coursework that appeared on the examination. So alongside that realization, I also noted the kinds of questions that came on the test so that I could figure out how I could approach them in future examinations. Understanding the method and how to maximize the number of marks I got for each question became prevalent during my time of self-reflection. So this enabled me to become more cautious of my study methods for all my courses. So this just goes to show that reflection is key in digging deep into one's mistakes in connection with the experience itself. So one way to enforce self-reflection into your life is through meditation, so that you can become more self-aware of your mistakes and be more careful with your actions and words in the future. So furthermore, you learn to focus on the present, and you do a lot of introspection about the individuals in the community that you're a part of. And this way you can pinpoint specific things that you need to work on in order to strive to become a better person in society today. So after reflecting on one's mistakes, it's important to focus on the implementation methods in order to mitigate and fix this mistake. So after realizing the reason behind my mistakes in math class, I set out to implement specific rules and habits in place so that I could fix my mistakes and exceed my expectations for math class. So as a result, of nervousness in class during the examination, I worked on solving math problems every day so that I could master specific skills needed to approach all kinds of problems in that specific unit. Furthermore, I studied question mark schemes to understand how I could improve my mathematical lines of reasoning in order to best demonstrate my knowledge in that subject. So by assessing your implementation methods on specific aspects of your mistake, you actually do what you have to do in order to fix that mistake, helping you gain more skills and traits during that process. So through that process, you may realize that some methods may not work effectively or as effectively as you had intended it to. So once again, it is our role to recognize it, self-reflect on why this happens, and obviously, once again, implement new and revised strategies to continue this process and make it a habit. So once you get into the habit of embracing self-reflection, in order to self-develop and grow, you gain faith in yourself and your decisions. For me, by implementing Shree Shree Thakur's values as my guiding principles in life, I'm always reminded to stay grounded and realistic through self-reflection. Pujapa Sapaida always reminded me to realize the values in individuals around me, implying that it's so crucial to be self-aware of the community of individuals that I am a part of. So the path of success isn't just about you, but it's also about the individuals that surround you. Hence, by establishing a habit of self-reflection, I've learned not to only understand my flaws and work on fixing them, but I've also learned a lot about the individuals around me. So the process of self-reflection taught me the prominence of acceptance, determination, consistency, and balance. And I hope that when you embark on your journey of self-reflection, you gain valuable insight on yourself and the individuals around you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeepa Das, for your thoughtful and extremely relevant jargon. It was delivered excellently. As we progress in life, one thing that brings about a lot of growth is change. For my sister and I, as we have progressed through life, we have had to move countries and switch schools multiple times as a result of our father's job. For this, we have had to leave behind friends and families. But Shree Shree Thakur has always been with us. My sister, Shree Thakur, is a first-year university student, pursuing a double major in computer science and economics in the United Kingdom. I would now like to invite her to share a few words on Shree Shree Thakur, the inseparable companion.
Jai Guru. My name is Shree Thakur, and I feel very excited and very privileged to be given the opportunity to speak at this youth symposium. As magnificently summed up by perhaps one of the world's most intriguing pre-Socratic philosophers, Heraclitus, the only thing constant in life is change. Throughout the course of life, psychologists have identified 8 main phases of transition, and currently I'm in the 3rd, the transition from adolescence to adulthood. Having recently graduated from high school and started university, I can affirm that this period of transition is a very strange and complex one that is on one hand filled with feelings of excitedness and eager anticipation, but also on the other with uncertainty, fear, anxiety, and isolation. And I'm sure that many of you here know exactly what I mean. Now, I realize that being part of this unique class of 2020, I haven't exactly had the most unique, most conventional experience. And hopefully those of you looking to graduate in the future will not have to go through the same situation. Yet somewhere I feel that this pandemic has somewhat diminished the excitedness and enthusiasm and heightened the anxiety and unease surrounding this transition for many. At my university, we have this thing called academic families. And it's a system where we as first-year students are adopted by third years who help us settle into university life, and they sort of guide us throughout our first 2 years at university. And after I was adopted, one of the first things my academic mother did was she introduced me to the university's confessions page on Facebook. And in this confessions page, students can anonymously post confessions about almost anything. And whilst this page is mostly filled with fun, light-hearted declarations and anecdotes, after minutes of scrolling through the page, I also discovered confessions of a different type. Ones with undertones of hopelessness and despair, with mentions of anxiety, depression, and even once or twice suicide. Imagine these students, just like me, whose lives are just on the verge of starting, who have so much unfulfilled potential, already contemplating putting an end to it. And I know for a fact that the people behind these 1 or 2 confessions are not alone. As a child growing up, many of us are privileged to live under the protection and guidance of our parents, who provide us with food, shelter, and most importantly, an abundant supply of love and support. I know I was, and whether through our neighborhood communities, our schools, our extracurricular activities, over the 17 to 18 years that most of us spend living at home, we make invaluable friendships and relationships, and moving away from all of this is not easy. A couple days ago, I came across a 2017 survey conducted by the American College Health Association, which highlighted that around 64% of college students say that they felt very lonely in the past year. 62% reported having overwhelming anxiety, and almost 12% seriously considered suicide. That's over 1 in every 10 college students seriously considering to end their lives. And that's just every year. And this is a figure that has probably been exacerbated because of the pandemic. And these feelings, even if no drastic step is taken, can lead to catastrophic consequences. According to Shree Shree Thakur, feeling is the indication of inner health, of functional morbidity. And in fact, there are several scientific studies that show that the physical damage that emotional anguish can cause is huge. And sure, we are fighting long and hard to overcome this global coronavirus pandemic that has been plaguing us for over 10 months now. And all of this is very necessary. But what about the mental health pandemic that has been raging on for centuries now? And more importantly, what are we doing to prevent it? How can we prevent ourselves from succumbing to it? Being a doctor himself, the danger of the diseases of the mind was something that Shree Shree Thakur had constantly brought to our attention. He stressed how it was not the physical illness plaguing our society today, but rather the mental illness. And this is why satsang formed around him. According to Shree Shree Thakur, pain is where resisting capacity is distilled. And through the little that I have understood through my own experiences of Shree Shree Thakur, as well as my own experiences of pain, resisting capacity is gained through finding hope. And hope is gained through having a guide, an inseparable companion. And for me, that companion is Shree Shree Thakur. A few months ago, because of the pandemic, all final exams were cancelled. And this included the IB exams, which I was supposed to give. As you can probably imagine, it was a time of great uncertainty for me and all my friends. And we didn't know what the magical IB algorithm was going to give us. We didn't know what we were going to end up with or how everything would work out. And during this time, what kept me calm was my faith in my guide, Shree Shree Thakur. And whenever I would feel anxious or uncertain, Pujaniya Babaida's advice that he gave me during the time of my Diksha always came up in my mind. When you love Thakur and place him at the forefront of your life, whatever happens will be the best for you. And this is certainly what happened. And it's not only during this period of transition that Shree Shree Thakur has helped me. He has been with me throughout my life, helping me overcome the fear that is so strongly associated with change. Whenever I have moved to a new country, whenever something hasn't gone as expected, and whenever I've had to take any new step in life, he has always been there. And I would like to share with all of you a very well-known story that my father used to tell me when I was younger, and it's one of my personal favorites, and I'm sure many of you may have heard it before. Once a cow who was grazing in the grass accidentally strayed far from her cow herder and the other cows. Since the area was near a jungle, a lion found the cow and decided to chase her. Eventually, they both fell into a deep ditch, and neither of them was able to get out of that ditch by themselves. Whilst the lion panicked in a desperate attempt to escape, the cow was calm. She was certain that the cow herder would come and find her. And this is exactly what happened. You see, not only did having a guide, the cow herder, actually help the cow get out of the ditch in the first place, but it also helped her remain calm and maintain a positive mindset even in times of distress. Having a guide helped her find hope, and it helped her fight fear and isolation. As summarized by Shree Shree Thakur, fear transforms propensities, nurturing existence thereby, and often creates dullness too. Hence, push thy volition to nurturing existential propitiousness. With its practical tenor, have love with every stable goal, and serve thy love Lord, beloved the great. Now, another main challenge we face during this third transition phase, the transition from adolescence to adulthood, is finding a personal sense of identity. The period between late adolescence and early adulthood is one that is of frequent change. Where we go from school to university to work, and maybe perhaps even starting a family. It's one of the most turbulent and fast-paced periods of life. Where in childhood we saw ourselves mainly as extensions of our parents, in late adolescence we begin to question this, asking ourselves who we are and what our purpose of life is. And nowadays we see that while some of those who ask these questions to themselves find the answers only later in adulthood, for many more, and in fact the vast majority I would say, these questions remain with them for their entire lives. And carrying around this lack of meaning, this failure to clearly identify a sense of purpose and identity is very dangerous. And I remember in English, we looked at a story, a play written by Norwegian playwright Henrik Ibsen, called Hedda Gabler, where the protagonist, Hedda Gabler, due to a lack of identity and control over herself, which was quite common for women at that time, is gradually turned into a jealous, manipulative, and neurotic personality, leading to only destruction. And whilst I agree that the case of Hedda Gabler is a fictional one, and it's very extreme, I'm sure that all of us can understand how, without a sense of identity and meaning, it's very easy to plummet into a spiral of loss, failure, lack of belonging, and inferiority. So, what does having a sense of identity mean? According to the American Psychological Association, identity is an individual's sense of self, defined by A, a set of physical, psychological, and interpersonal characteristics that is not wholly shared with any other person, and B, a range of affiliations and social roles. So we can see that identity is linked to our sense of purpose, our beliefs, and who we associate with. But is our sense of purpose, the associations that we have in life, are they always linked to expansion? And how strong really is our sense of identity? And if it's not strong, or if it's not there, how can we develop it? And how can we develop it to be strong? So in today's society, there are mainly two types of people. Those whose lives focus around themselves, who are caught in their own personal issues, and here there is really very little sense of expansion. And then there are those who focus on something bigger, who strive to affect the lives of others, and whilst these people rise to the top of their respective fields, and are largely thought to be successful and possess an established identity, at least in the minds of the masses, if we take a closer look, these people are still guided by their own selfish interests, and many times they fail to adjust their complexes, becoming tangled in their own fragile sense of self, sense of identity and purpose, and the result, once again, can be deadly. Take, for example, English poet Sylvia Plath, writer Ernest Hemingway, or actress Marilyn Monroe. Clearly, defining success in terms of, wealth, power, or fame is not complete. Now, there is also a third type of person, and these people are very, very rare. Their purpose, their motivation in life is solely in the interest and welfare of others. And this, in my opinion, is real success. How many lives are made better off because you lived? And this is the type of person, and this is the type of meaning that we should hold in our own lives. If you look at Shree Shree Thakur, he has constantly reiterated, both through his words and his actions, man is my income, love is my expenditure. His entire life revolved around people. Shree Shree Thakur's Every activity has been tuned by a single purpose: to wean humankind from the clutches of their own passions and lead them into a light of life and bliss. And that same quality and interestedness can be seen in the present Acharya Shree Shree Dada. Every action Shree Shree Dada takes is full of meaning and love and care for everyone. Shree Shree Thakur said himself, "Try to be adjusted and meaningful to every individual, to his existential complacence, with compassionate, alert steps. Thus be thyself, meaningful to thy own existence too. This the only way to be interested and to enjoy life." Now, the question is, how do we become interested? How can we align our identity and purpose towards the direction of expansion? You are for the Lord and not for others. You are for the Lord and so for others. When we have an ideal as profound as Shree Shree Thakur, by loving him and serving him, being attached to him in every possible way, we start to subconsciously imbibe his qualities in ourselves. We naturally expand ourselves and our identity becomes solid and we find real purpose in life. And then only can we say that we are never alone, that we are never isolated. Now, Shree Shree Thakur is such an individual that he has demonstrated a practical and effective solution to every possible issue. Recently, I came across one story involving an American couple who visited Thakur whilst they were on the verge of getting separated. Before they could speak about their problems, they observed that Thakur was asking people to collect very small amounts of money, 2 rupees, 5 rupees, very, very small amounts of money. And seeing this, the couple thought, why is Thakur asking for money from people who are so poor? We are rich, we can easily give him more. When they asked Thakur, Thakur asked them to provide just 100 rupees. And the couple, hearing this, thought, just 100 rupees? We could have given millions. But, as you probably would have guessed, Shree Shree Thakur had his own plans. He put a condition that the 100 rupees must not be from their own pockets, but must be collected from other people. And this turned out to be very challenging. Everyone around the couple was poor, and so the couple worked hard for days, barely managing to collect quarters, cents, under the boiling heat. And seeing each other at the end of each day, they could really see the effort that they had put in, and they could feel each other's pain. And this realization was the thing that brought them together. And now divorce was out of question. And this is just one example of just one specific situation. Thakur, throughout his life, has helped countless people overcome countless problems. And Thakur has said, I can leave an empire for one person. And this is what Thakur demonstrated. When you have a companion like Thakur, who is there with you throughout all of life's highs and lows, really, what is there to worry about? So I can proudly say without doubt that I have found another constant in life, Shree Shree Thakur, my guide, my friend, and my inseparable companion. And I urge all of you to try and learn as much as you can about Shree Shree Thakur. And I'm sure that the more you learn about him, you too will feel the same as I do. And with that, I would like to conclude this talk, and I pray to Thakur for everyone's well-being. Jai Guru.
Thank you, Siddheshwari, for your heartfelt and insightful words on Shree Shree Thakur. Now, to end the first part of the symposium, I request Arpita Ghosh from Germany to sing a beautiful song for us. The song she will sing is one of my favorite songs, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Jai Guru everyone, I feel very much blessed to offer a beautiful song at the lotus feet of my beloved Shree Thakur. You are my Lord, you are my love, you are the universe, whole and soul, you're the sound and light, fulfilling and making me bright. You are souls, you are souls, everything others in your own. You are my life, you are my love, Almighty Lord, you are my home. You are Ocean of love, sprinkles from you. You are the savior. Ocean of love, sprinkles from you. You are the savior. Master of food, show me the path. Who serves me the food and keep it right. You are the way, you are the truth. You have come to remove all of my pain. You are my life, you are my love, Almighty Lord. You are my hope. You are my life, you are my love, Almighty Lord. You are my hope. You are my love. You are my love. Fire of life fingers from you. You are the pursuit of truth. Fire of life fingers from you. You are the pursuit of truth. You are the knowledge. You are the wisdom. Your reason and savior of truth. You are the past, you are present, you are the absolute fulfiller of it. You are my life, you are my love, Almighty Lord. You are my hope, you are my life, you are my love, Almighty Lord. You are my hope. You are my love, you are my love, you are my love, you are my love, you are the universe, whole and soul of mouth and heart, feeling and making me proud. You are the source, you are a source, everything others within our room. You are my life, you are my love, Almighty Lord. You are my hope, you are my life, you are my love, Almighty Lord. You are my hope, you are my love, you are my life, you are my love, you are my life, you are my love, you are my life. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru Arpitama. That was such a melodic and soulful song. Let us now begin the second part of the symposium, an interactive session where participants will discuss their understanding of key messages from the Sathyanusaran. Before we proceed, I would like to share a few words on the Sathyanusaran. The Sathyanusaran translates to the pursuit of truth and contains a series of invaluable messages written by none other than Shree Shree Thakur Anukulachandra himself. Shree Shree Thakur wrote the Sathyanusaran over one night, when he was 21 years old, to give to a friend who was leaving Devghar. When Shree Shree Thakur later asked for whom he had written this book, people answered that he had written it for his friend, for everyone in India, for everyone in the world, and for everyone in the universe. But Shree Shree Thakur was not satisfied with any of these answers. Barda then came, and he answered that Shree Shree Thakur had written this book for him. This is how we must look at the Sathyanusaran. We must see that it is written for ourselves and ourselves alone. Without further delay, let us invite various participants, including Jyotima Mukherjee, Sashwat Prusti, Suchismita Saha, Kaushik, Jewel Kumar Roy, and Surajit Haldar, who are all from various parts of Europe, to engage in discussions of the messages of the Sathyanusaran.
Hello, good evening, friends. Good to see you all together. Well, today I read a message from Sathyanusaran, the Pursuit of Truth, translated in English, written by Shree Shree Thakur Anukulachandra, and I felt so mesmerizing. Maybe if you all feel good, I would like to share with you, and maybe some of you may express your own feelings. How about that? Okay, the one is like this. First of all, we must wage war on weakness. We must be bold and brave, for weakness is sin incarnate. Drive it away at once, this depressing, blood-sucking vampire. Say, you are bold, the offspring of might. Believe you are a son of Father, the Supreme. Before all else, be daring, be sincere. Then it's clear you have the right to enter the kingdom of heaven. Jyotima, what do you think about it?
It is said here to fight against weakness, just as blood-sucking bats suck the blood from the sleeping animals. Weakness sucks the strength from our body. Each one of us is a child of the Father. We will be able to enter the realm of heaven only if we can overcome the weakness within.
That makes sense, right?
So, what is weakness?
According to my opinion, weakness is an outcome of our wrongdoings. Weakness mainly originates from our mind, and also I think that probably the lack of dependence on the Father, the Supreme, is one of the reasons for a weak mind.
I feel that sickness or illness may also make a person weak, right?
But, Suchismita, I think he is not talking about physical weakness here.
There are also some people who do not accept the Supreme Father as their own. This is also a weakness, according to me.
Perhaps they think that it is not their own father, and hence do not accept. I think this happens because of the fact that one cannot actually see the Supreme Father, which creates self-doubt, and in turn results in a weak mind. The thought that less people may say something. Why does it say weakness is a burning image of sin?
I think that weakness itself is sin.
Yes, and what does weakness result in? Well, weakness leads to mental complexity. A complex mind cannot function well. That's why it's important that we must wage war against weakness. Well, Jyotima, whom do you think can enter the realm of heaven?
I think one must be initiated by the Sadguru to enter the realm of heaven.
Yeah, you're right. And further it is said in the verse that with the least weakness you cannot be truly sincere. And so long as your thought and words do not agree, the dirt within shall not be touched.
Seems to be a very interesting verse, but then I honestly do not know if I really have some weaknesses or not. But then what I really feel is that for a person to be sincere, he must speak what he really thinks.
Weakness goes away when word and thought become one. But why is that when there is a synergy between word and thought, weakness goes away?
If you cannot express everything, then hidden mistakes settle inside. So, when we can express everything, then the weakness will go away.
But is it right to express everything? Personally, I don't think it is right to reveal absolutely everything to everyone.
Yeah, me too. You were right. I think we have to only express what is required for a particular situation.
Hmm. But can anyone really reveal everything? Not having a synergy between word and thought is one such instant when a person cannot express his feelings clearly, a scattered and confused state.
Well, hearing this, I get a couple of questions in my mind. I really don't know and really don't understand why people stop from being frank, and why don't they express all their thoughts? Do you have any views, friends?
I think they are afraid that their avaguna, that
Mhm.
is, their odd habit, may come out if they freely express whatever they think.
Hmm. Yes, that is weakness.
Yeah, also many people, they are just dressed as saints, but they actually do not practice asceticism. This is a clear case of hypocrisy.
I think it's better to dress as a saint with the intention of becoming a saint. But trying to represent oneself as a saint to satisfy his evil intention is really bad.
Okay, so when does filth come about? Filth comes when one is bound by the pull of instinct. That filth is weakness. If the word and thought are not aligned, filth cannot be removed. One will survive if one's thoughts are expressed.
Oh, but Jyotima, say, what is weakness to you personally?
For me, weakness means breaking down.
Hmm. When does a person break down?
Normally, when one faces sorrow and trouble,
That's right. So, mm, maybe, what does hypocrisy mean to you?
Well, according to me, when one does not practice what they are telling, then that is hypocrisy, right? For example, I tell you not to drink some drinks, but I am drinking myself at home when nobody is around. So, this is a true example of hypocrisy.
Yes, all this hypocrisy. So, what is the meaning of being frank?
Well, I think being frank is just to say what I am thinking from my inside.
Hmm. Um, then, yes. Can you think of any other form of weakness?
I think another form of weakness in my mind is when you have fear in your mind. I think that is another form of weakness.
Hmm. But why does fear come about?
I think fear comes about because by being hypocritical or being weak minded, this can result in fear.
Hmm. And what cause mental weakness?
Yeah, you can take the example. Even after knowing that a place is potentially harmful for me or to me, but I still proceed, then I'm weak-minded.
You mean like it can be harmful for you, but you still proceed, and therefore you are knowingly welcoming misery. Hmm. Now tell me, what does the feeling of weakness come from?
Oh, I think from hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm. Well, weakness cannot nest in a person's mind who is ideal centric. We feel weak, dejected, and depressed when complexes are prominent in our minds. People suffer due to the pressure of all these complexes. But do we know what these complexes are?
Yes, I think so. Yes, I believe the complexes are lust, anger, greed, attachment, ego, and jealousy.
Hmm. Well, then it's understood that weakness results when mind is guided by these complexes, right? And so, an ideal-centric mind can dominate over these complexes. The next verse is about once word and thought become alike, the dirt cannot collect within. The hidden rubbish floats up in words, and sin cannot remain within. What do you think, Jyotima? What happens when word and thought are alike?
I think then the sin cannot reside inside you.
Okay, suppose I thought Jyotima is very quarrelsome, and I said this to her family. Hearing that, her family jumped up questioning, how could you spell such word in the name of my daughter? And then, it results in a quarrel between me and them. In that situation, Jyotima's parents have expressed what they thought, and I said what I thought. Then surely the sin cannot nest in any one of our heart. But a quarrel still broke out between us. What is the benefit of this? Maybe Jyotima does seem very quarrelsome to me, but why should I tell this to everyone? Rather, I should only say something I think when I know only something good will come out of it and there is no negative impact.
Yeah, I have an example. Say, I'm interested in one of Kaushik's thing and want to take without asking him. But after seeing that he is searching for the lost thing and that he is very upset, then I realize my action is wrong and decide to return the thing. If I approach him and explain what happened, he will think that I am very frank and would feel good that I admitted my own mistake. Yeah, as a result, Koshik will also be contented and I would also be free from the guilt of stealing.
Yes, I think another example comes to mind. Let's assume seeing everyone eating fruits and nuts, you also wanted to eat some, but you had no money in hand. So you took some money out of your father's pocket and bought the food. Even if you haven't asked earlier, before he looks for it, you have to tell your father, such as, Father, I took some money from your shirt and bought nuts. If we do not confess to our father, we might feel like we can take the money again another day. Doing so, we will become accustomed to stealing.
Well, so listening to all the three examples, what I think is when there is a synchronism between the mind and heart, then probably there won't be any filth inside us. At least we will not be fake. So this will pave way for us loving others and everyone loving us back. Yeah.
I feel if we unite heart and mind, then all the inner faults are destroyed.
Okay, then what are faults?
I think a different type of thought in the mind.
But what are these different thoughts? Various thoughts always keep on running. If I had only one thought, it would have been worked, not revealing everything what comes to the heart.
What I understand context? That's pretty clear. But are we really clear with what is this filth in us and what should be really thrown away? Let us make this context clear in simple words. Jyotima?
I think sinful thinking is a fault of the mind, and that is the filth. The thought that hinders the growth of life is definitely a sin.
Yeah, sometimes we think of sin, but once we reveal it where it needed to be, then the sinful thought does not exist any longer.
If we think unjustly, inconsistently, and we do not express it, the feeling of sin will remain. That's why it has to be disclosed to our parents, to our teacher, or to our well-wisher where necessary.
Well, I think from the discussion we have some very good point to take away for our life. Maybe some of you may share from your point of view.
Yeah, so what I feel is I have two important takeaways from the discussion that we had today. The first one is I feel mental health is very much important as like physical health. We should take care of our mind, and the simpler we think, the less complex the life is, and more harmonious we live. For example, mind can be regarded as a garden. You nurture it with good crops and take good care of it, then it's really good. If you let the weeds crop up, then it would cause a lot of problems, and then it'll end up rotting up stuff. And that's what I think.
Pretty fair.
Exactly. Actually, these thoughts keep coming in our minds. This question always speaks in our mind. But when we talk with our friends and discuss a little bit, it became more clear. And I would definitely try to implement these things in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree, very much so. And just like Goshikda said, our mind is like a garden, and the weed in the garden is the complexes in our minds. So we have to try and drive away these complexes to enable us to get rid of the weakness in our mind.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do agree. This discussion helped me a lot. I believe that if our life is ideal centric, we can never go in a wrong path. So that is really important.
That's quite important.
Yeah, you all are right. I think after this discussion, we can implement the thoughts in our day-to-day life. So I think it will be more beneficial for our life.
Well, I think we had a very elaborated discussion on these words. Maybe if you feel it more interesting from your point of view, we can discuss some time. But for the time being, thank you very much to all of you, and we may meet once again.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What an engaging discussion we all had here. I am sure all of you have enjoyed this program. Personally, I feel that we should have more and more sessions like this. I really thank you all from the bottom of my heart for the wonderful session that you have provided. I wish you all the best. Before ending, I would like to remind everyone to stay tuned for the rest of this program. Jai Guru.